Unit. Or.
We come together today knowing that we can never say enough or do enough to express our gratitude and how we feel about our fellow veterans. We constantly use the phrase, "Thank you for your service." And this is wonderful for those who return home and move on with their lives like our students here in achieving their academic careers. But somehow, thank you for your service is not quite enough for those who don't return. And this day is also about remembering them. Each and every veteran with their own personal story and reason made a huge sacrifice today or the day they decided to join the Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and the reserves for each of our services. They made this decision with full knowledge that they were taking an oath to protect our country. That's you and me. So each year when we gather here at the Student Services Center to give recognition to those who served, those who made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives for our freedom, I come to this podium with a slightly heavy heart and lots of memories, always short on words because words can never express enough how we feel about our veterans. But this too, as Nancy has indicated, is a joyous occasion to know that we have over 800 veteran students attending Irvine Valley College. And we have one of the most outstanding centers in the system for the community colleges. And that is thanks to our leadership, Nancy and her staff and her students. This was further demonstrated by the fantastic conference that they had last week. And just this morning, Nancy and her colleagues at Saddleback were notified that they received yet another $500,000 grant to split between the colleges to serve our veterans. So our center is getting better and better all the time. Thank you, Nancy, and thanks to your staff.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. you so much. Thank you.
So this is a day that we're actually really acknowledging our veterans here at Irvine Valley College, and I'm so excited that you've all turned out to do this. The Irvine Police Department always wants to participate with us because they're so supportive here, so we're really excited about that. Our Veterans Center is just really growing. It's doing so wonderful. I'm so proud to say every fall we get a new group of veterans in here. And you never know what you're gonna get. You get some that are fun, some that are a little more serious. This year we've got the whole combination. They're fabulous. I'm so excited when they come in, their laughter. We brought in a new manager last May, so we've been so blessed to have him there building the camaraderie, you walk in there and it's just an exciting area. It's 30, 40 veterans every minute of the time in there. There's a veteran in the back teaching another veteran on math. Zach, thank you for that. There's a lot of guys in the front that we have 12 work study that actually greet people and are there to help them. They're acting as peer mentors, which a lot of veteran resource centers don't have that. They don't have the ability to that. We have mental health providers in there now 4 days a week. We're excited to have that. One of them is working as a case manager now so that we can actually follow up and make sure that nobody's falling through the cracks. We have our meet and greets that are just wonderful. Due to our innovation grant, which is fabulous, we have the ability now to actually add in a lot of innovative type of practices, which we're trying to find out how we're gonna let our veterans do better in what they're doing and find more nurturing type of events to attend that can change their mental health, that can actually help them grow.
You know, in a country that's divided often these days, the one thing that brings all Americans together is our support for the veterans that have so proudly served our country and for those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. So today, we want to honor you, and that's what today's about. I also want to acknowledge I have served and worked as an administrator at 4 different community college districts, and I have never seen a greater, more active, supportive environment for veterans than the Veterans Resource Center here at IVC. And I'd like to go off script for a moment and ask those that work in that center to please stand and be acknowledged. It is clear, thank you, it is clear that the values that are held here is to serve our veterans in a sensitive, compassionate, and respectful manner to serve their needs. We thank you, veterans, for choosing Irvine Valley College for your educational goals, for trusting us with that mission, and we will carry it out. We will help you. We will be here to support you.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We're the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved, and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. The poem In Flanders Fields, written by John McCrae, vividly describes the sacrifices of our veterans during World War I, known as the Great War. This year, the poppies will be worn on lapels across the world. It has even greater significance. The year we mark the 101st year anniversary of the Armistice of World War I. We're on the 11th hour of the 11th day, the 11th month of 1918, hostilities ceased. Many call World War I the war to end all wars. We know that worse hell would come. As we reflect upon the Armistice of World War I, we cannot help but think of our troops in their rounded doughboy helmets, huddled in mud-filled trenches, slammed filled with artillery barrages, machine gun fire across a moon-cratered earth. The last of these warriors passed in 2011. Frank Buckles, the last living U.S. World War I veteran, died in 2011 at 110 years old. Frank Buckles, during World War I, as America joined our allies towards the last years of the war, over 160,000 Americans were killed, over 204,000 wounded in just 19 months. The death toll in totality from 1918 1914 to 1918 was more than 16.5 million, including 7 million civilians, and with over 20 million wounded. So in solidarity with our allies, remember those whom we lost on what is known as Remembrance Day in other countries. The red poppies more significantly signify our remembrance of those we lost in the war. This past June, we celebrated the 75th anniversary of D-Day, World War II. Our Korean War and our Vietnam War veterans continue to be our largest population of veterans that are active in our communities. Our current war on terrorism has lasted 18 years. Many of you here that fought that. And this is the first time in our history in the United States that those of us who fought now see our children fighting in the same war. The United States celebrates Veterans Day every November 11th to honor those living veterans whom have served in our armed forces, whether in peace or in war. We honor our combat veterans still living from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom, and Inherent Resolve. So what is a veteran? A veteran is defined by federal law, moral code, and military service. A military veteran is any person who served for any length of time in any military service branch. Today, more than 20 million U.S. military veterans live in the U.S. Only a fraction of 1% of the country's population is currently serving in the U.S., while about 7% of our population are veterans. California is the largest amount of veterans in the U.S., and over 130,000 veterans call Orange County their home. So who are these veterans, and where can we find them? Some may be really visible by their American Legion or Veterans of Foreign War service caps they wear. Others may have a USS Enterprise hat, a t-shirt with 3rd Infantry Division logo, or like many you'll see on Veterans Day, still able to fit into their uniforms from days gone by. Sometimes you notice their hair, the way they talk, or demeanor. However, most of the veterans out there today are invisible. And I say invisible because they've been there living and working next to you for the last 10 years, sitting next to you in college, teaching your children at the high school, and we never even knew they were veterans. Why? Because we didn't ask. Sometimes when we ask, are you a veteran? You'll get a reply, no, I was just in the reserves. Or no, I didn't deploy to combat. You're still a veteran. So we started asking, did you serve? And with that, where? Tell me about it. When? What did you do? And then ask, do you need anything? Veterans will say no. And then ask again, no, do you need anything? What can I do for you? We change clothes, grow our hair, lose our jargon, acronyms, and find a house, a job, and join the other 93% of Americans. Many veterans don't self-identify. Military service is a humble profession. The profession of arms does not boast. Most veterans leave the service and blend into society as much as possible. We want to maintain our identity, and the Veterans Resource Centers let us do that while we're attending school here. I challenge each of you this Veterans Day to ask, did you serve? Ask about their service. Ask about what they did. When you find a veteran, most people find it customary, and again, very appreciated when asked and said, are you a veteran? Thank you for your service. Rather than just saying thank you, I challenge each of us to demonstrate our thankfulness. Ask what they need. Again, ask twice. I'd give anything right now for my grandfather, who served in the Pacific in World War II, to be alive and talk to me about what he did. He didn't. Most of us don't. He served in World War II in the Pacific under great stress, combat situation, and his grandson went to West Point and served 30 years in the Army. And the only thing I remember that my grandpa said is, Dent, don't volunteer for nothing. He said, they'll ask for truck drivers, you'll raise your hand, they'll have you in a wheelbarrow. That's all I remember about his past and his legacy. We are their legacy. We sons and daughters of our veterans, and they expect us to pick up the torch and carry on. Carry on with service to our nation, service to each other, and service as stewards of our profession of arms, ensuring that our history, culture, values, customs, and traditions continue to exist beyond our time, generation to generation, so as not to fade away as we pass on. Very few choose to serve in our military, but service to the nation comes in many forms. In this modern day, it's surprising that we still have some veterans without homes, without employment or underemployed, unable to receive timely and adequate health care and their benefits. We lose about 20 veterans a day to suicide. As they struggle with identity, depression, and for many, the war that left continues at home. Remember that the families also serve, and they suffer with their veteran when they suffer. If we really want to honor our veterans and their families, then volunteer to serve them. Join these organizations that provide services to those who served us all so honorably. Celebrate the few whom have sacrificed so much to defend our republic and guarantee our freedoms. Honor their selfless commitment to our nation, where they face death on the battlefield and struggles adjusting to society back home. Their efforts continue to allow us to live our lives with the freedoms we all enjoy. As the last line of the poem says, take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from falling hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If we break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field. For our veterans, know you're appreciated. You may throw the torch. A lot of here are going to be catching it. Because the next generation of Americans is ready to catch it and hold it high. Tell your stories. It's our duty to the next generation and to pass on to those that follow those stories that leave with us. We will keep the faith. We will honor your service as your legacy and our duty, and not to break the faith that you so gallantly held and as you sacrificed to serve our nation. Our sacred oath is never rescinded. Think about it. When you raised your hand and took the oath, you never did it again and took it back. You carry on day to day. You earned it in defending our Constitution, our way of life. God bless all our veterans, their families, and the United States of America. Thank you all for having me.